Welcome to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast, powered by LPT Realty, Real Estate Reimagined, with your host, the one and only Betsy Tinnervin. On this podcast, we bring you people who share their personal journeys in life, business, and of course, real estate. Get motivated, inspired, and priceless information from entrepreneurs, community leaders, and realtors who are thriving. Now let's get raw and real. Here's Betsy.
Welcome to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host, Betsy Tinnervin, and today just happened to work out. So all of our listeners out there say you are going to get the one, the only, yours truly, Mr. Vincent Arcuri.
It is so great to be here back on the Betsy Tinnervin Show, a.k.a. the LPT Radio All-Stars.
I'm so excited to have Vince here. I miss having Vince in the studio. You know, as everybody knows, Vince was the original OG host of the radio show, and he has so much going on. This guy is selling all these luxury $1 million homes, so he was busy doing that and asked me if I would take over the radio show, and we're just hoping, and I know all my listeners are hoping, that Vince is just on a break and he's going to be back. But today it's just him and I in the studio, and so I really want to give all the listeners out there that have seen this market shift. I know a lot of people were afraid to sell because they were concerned that they wouldn't have something to buy. So today we're going to be talking to all of our sellers out there, the people thinking about selling, because Vince Arcuri is one of the most pristine, thorough listing agents that I've seen. And so I definitely want to talk to you, Vince, today. Let's just start with like basic market stuff for people to kind of get them caught up, because obviously we're seeing a shift.
Well, obviously, and just to piggyback on what you said, there's always something. You know, last year, the market was going crazy. There were 5 offers on every property and 10 offers, people going over asking. And the seller's exactly what you said. Oh, well, where am I going to go if I sell my home? Well, and then you look at today, it's like, well, okay, now the market interest rates have really impacted the market, slowed things down. We're starting to see prices drop a little bit, which is really going to offset pieces in the mortgage. It always happens that way. And I always say to consumers, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be something one way or the other. If you align yourself with the right real estate agent that knows what they're doing, they're going to get you through the storm. They're going to sell your home. You should have sold your home last year, and then you would have been in a home where the right real estate agent would have got you in. And we're laughing before we went on the air that I'm wondering, all those agents that made those Facebook videos telling everybody, oh, that's not going to happen in Florida. This market's not going to shift in Florida, because they've only been in real estate long enough to experience the low-hanging fruit, whereas veterans like us are going through our 3rd downturn, and, 3 times going through it, we know exactly how to handle it and how to position our clients to win.
Well, and here's an example. I got a text before I got here, and we have an agent on our team who's also a first-time home buyer. And, they were horrified of these interest rates, and they're under contract at $390 and got their appraisal back at $420. And I'm like, see what I'm saying? Like, you got $30,000 of built-in equity. So refi it out in 3 years, but get into a house, stop paying rent, go through the process. Really, in reality, I think it's important for sellers to know that, real estate has really changed its game. Real estate has evolutionized over a period of time. And so what's really cool about LPT Realty is we have an actual platform which allows our agents to not only thrive and scale their businesses, they make more money, but then the consumers get better customer service. Right. And so I really want to touch, Vince, on what's important if someone right now is okay, I see a market shift and I know that things are going to kind of change. So at the end of the day, what can I do if I'm a seller? What is your thought process, and why do you think that what we do at LPT and how you personally handle your listings is super beneficial to a seller?
This is where the bottom line is. As the real estate market constricts, marketing has really become the driving force in real estate once again. And most agents, what do? The market constricts and they go, oh my gosh, let me stop spending marketing money because I'm not going to make as much money. Whereas LPT provides the marketing tools for, it doesn't matter if the market's good, bad, or average.
Exactly.
We are providing, the company is providing the marketing tools. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, well, that means that the agent shouldn't charge as much. Well, you're looking at pennies and not dollars, because what we do at LPT is now the agent is better equipped to spend money on digital ads, to push out on Google ads, and to hit these far-reaching technological instruments that we use to market the properties out of state. Direct, for example, people in Canada, especially as it starts to get into the snow season, and we can enhance these digital ads to, they're sick and tired of shoveling snow every day.
Well, yeah, if you're a luxury seller as well, I mean, if you have something that is, even at that close to $1 million price point, I think that what Vince is touching on is really essential, right? So Florida is a melting pot. I mean, there are native Floridians that live here, but the majority of people that are coming here, especially to Tampa Bay, we have become one of the metro tech hubs. So we are getting people in their 30s, maybe even early 40s that want to be here because we are providing jobs and then we're not paying any income tax. So we have all these
state
people.
Income tax.
Right. So we have all these people that are coming here, and those people have to have a platform to see outside of Zillow, because we all know social media has really become the hub of everything.
Right.
And so just like you said, agents now have to spend their time and money on marketing those listings to attract out of state and then international buyers.
It's funny you mentioned Zillow, because LPT, Robert Palmer, our fearless leader, has come up with homevalue.com. Now, a lot of you people, if you're listening to this radio show, you've seen the commercials with Lawrence K. Bird talking about getting the home value from an actual agent. If you respond to one of those ads, you're going to get an LPT agent, because people go to Zillow to get their home value, and it's just a computer algorithm. Whereas if you go through our system, you're going to get an actual agent to tell you the value of the home, whether you're going to sell in 2 years or you just need some counseling.
Sure.
A real human's going to come out and counsel you and put you in the right direction and the path to success.
I think you should just be honest with all the listeners, Vince, and tell them that really you're the one in the bird suit.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to say that for legal reasons.
So, yeah, I think it's interesting, and I really want to circle back to that in segment 2, just what that process looks like. But overall, I think for anyone considering selling their home, like, Vince, what is step 1? Like, why is it important to just contact an agent?
Well, because, the agent can put together the pieces and give you the best directive on what steps to take in what order. And if you're transferring to Chicago in February, you should probably call now. And that way you can get a game plan going. The marketing can get so that when you're ready to launch, everything is immediately hitting the market. The traditional agent will list your home and then try to do the marketing after the property's listed. We come in, we get the home staged, we have to move furniture around, we might have to paint a wall, clean up some landscaping to put the house in the best position to sell for the maximum amount of dollars. It now more than ever, that preparation that you have to do to get your house ready to sell makes all the difference. This is not 2021 anymore. You're not going to have multiple offers on your home, and you're not going to have a bidding war. You need to price it right and get it looking right so that you're not on the market for 6 or 8 months.
I also think, too, it gives the seller time. Like, now we've come in and we've kind of evaluated the situation. Now we can put you in a good position, whether you're transferring or you're coming in, etc. Well, now you're in a good position to figure out what you do want to buy. With the interest rates fluctuating up and down, we have the proper ecosystem to connect you with to go, okay, if you buy at this price point, here's where we're at with interest rates, here's what your monthly payment's going to be. And then we've already evaluated on the front end how much equity you have that you could then put towards some type of down payment.
Right.
I think that's awesome.
I think it is. I think this is a great time to remind the listeners out there to download the iHeartRadio app so they never miss an episode of the LPT Radio All-Stars.
I do too. And as everyone, all of our listeners know, we just want to thank you guys. We know we have listeners every single week and that we're bringing in people from the community. We also want to remind everybody that's in Tampa Bay, LPT would love to have you as a restaurant, as a business, to highlight you. We want people coming to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is thriving as we all know, we're thriving so much, we just missed an entire hurricane. So if you want to be featured on the radio, please text me at 813-609-0229. And Vince, if anyone out there is looking to become an agent and really wants to have the #1 platform offered, also any sellers out there that are thinking about selling their home, how can they get a hold of you?
813-Vincent. And then use the letters instead of the numbers, and you'll get me direct. That's 813-846-2368.
Well, I'm so happy to have Vincent Arcuri on my show today. You do not want to miss the next 3 segments. We're going to dive deep into what it looks like today with this market shift, potentially selling your home, also what it looks like buying your home. And then we're also going to touch a little bit on for all the agents out there that are, really feeling that market shift and really feeling the stress and the pain of being an entrepreneur in the real estate business. We want to offer you a platform and a home to participate in that will help you thrive and cut your monthly cost. Don't forget to download that iHeartRadio app. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You won't want to miss the next 3 segments.
Have the best comp plans ever and stock and revenue share, but if we're not closing real estate transactions, all of that is worthless, because ultimately everything starts with a real estate transaction, which starts with a consumer. And so we wanted to arm our agents with the absolute best technology and best marketing tools to do more real estate. And that's, again, I think a big differentiator. I think very few brokerages really sit down and say, how do we provide tools to make sure that our agents can be more productive, sell more real estate, win more listings, win at more listing appointments, help more buyers find that home. And we're very focused on that. And so while we have the best comp plans and the best ways for agents to generate wealth and earn, we also have the best tools, and more importantly, I would say have the best tools to help you be successful in real estate.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host. Happy weekend to all of our listeners out there. You have the one and only Vincent Arcuri in the station today.
Betsy, I wanted to go back a little bit to the first segment where you said, I used to host a radio show and then I got tired of it. This is more of a Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady situation here, where I was the starting quarterback. I was the host. I got COVID. I missed a couple of weeks from the show, and then Robert heard you on the show, and suddenly I became Drew Bledsoe. So I'm hoping I'm not going to get traded to the Dallas Cowboys as a result of this. But so thanks for letting me back on the show, the Betsy Tinervin show, as it has become, as I went from the starting quarterback to the backup. But it's okay. I still love you.
Listen, nobody ever could put Vince as a bench player, okay? Vince is always going to be a starter. He's never going to be the 6th man. Vince is just a starter. And I hope anyone out there thinking about possibly selling their home and jumping in on this kind of real estate crazy market is listening to us today, because Vince, I believe back when you had hair, of course, is when you started selling real estate. And what year was that?
1991.
1991. So for everybody out there, that's a long time being in this market, and you've consistently done it in Tampa Bay.
We were loving it the other day. We were showing the MLS books that we used to have, which was just a book. It was a black and white printed book that was about 1/4 of an inch thick. That was our MLS. There was no computers or anything. But I want to go back to the radio hosting thing where Robert said nobody puts Betsy in a corner.
Oh, that's
how I lost the gig. But it's okay. But yes, we used to have the small little MLS books, black and white. And a lot of consumers don't realize that's where open houses really came from, because we could have the signpost in the yard, but your home, if you listed it on October 2nd, you weren't going to appear until the November book. So literally your home was on the market 3 weeks before it even would show in the MLS book. And really today it's instantaneous. And so I think agents really got used to that instantaneous putting it on the MLS. They take a picture with their phone, but that's really not the best way either. The best way is that we talked about in segment 1, to meet with a reputable agent like us. Come out to your home, get your home staged properly. Let's fix all these little things. I know Ellie and I, we get a home inspection done up front. We get an appraisal done on the home up front. We stage the home correctly. We get professional photographs. Then we get the listing PowerPoint, the listing power tools ready. And then we launch the home. Sometimes it'll take us 2 weeks, but it makes all the difference in the world. And to a consumer saying, I don't want to wait 2 weeks because, and you look at the advertising that's going on with these OfferPad, Open Doors, and these hedge funds from Wall Street that are coming in. And I find it ironic that Open Door, we had a listing that closed 2 weeks ago. Open Door came in and they say, hey, skip the showings. It's so convenient. You pick the closing date. Well, we had somebody in Villa Rosa on Morden Blush. They made an offer of $594,000, and the guy smartly wanted to get a second opinion, and he called the great real estate agents at LPT Realty. We came out, we closed that home for $101,000 more than what they offered. So if you're a seller and, I don't want to have anybody walk through my house and look around, and you're that rich that you can walk away from a six-figure number, by all means, give the money to the Wall Street hedge funds. But if you really want to maximize, they're going to flip the home anyway.
Well, and on top of that, I mean, the reality is that...
the reason why I say the name, Betsy, is because it's true. Because I've got a contract. True. I've got a contract with the offer with the name on it. And I'm just, they try to downplay the traditional real estate agent and, hey, skip the traditional real estate and go through us. And the truth is, we're getting, time and time again, we're getting more money. Last time I looked at a property. I showed properties that were listed by
Open Door. And I mean, just the yards looked bad. No one's out there touching the home. I mean, there's a lot more of an intimate experience. But let's be honest, because I always tell all my listeners out there, I'm the raw and the real of real estate. So you hear this time and time again. Use an agent. And then you sit there and you look at your figures like, oh my God, 6% of my profits is out there. But let's really break that down for people, because I think that's important. So first of all, just business as a whole has just entirely changed. And, if you ask someone like my father, who's been a broker 40 years, I mean, he does not like the new tech hub at all, because he feels like people in our industry, even people my age, I'm about to be 40, they've lost the face-to-face.
You don't look a day over 39.
Ooh. I thought you were going to say 21. but it's one of those things, Vince, where it's like in your industry, you were forced to meet with someone in person. You were forced to shake their hand. You were forced to show up. So one thing that we do, and you've seen me do this with my team, is even when someone calls in or visits our website on a click, I require my agents to produce a comprehensive package and use Vincent Arcuri's one and only binder machine and physically drive to the property and drop it off. And I think that what people, and where I'm going with this is what they fail to understand is obviously most likely the person selling your home is also going to represent you on the buy side. So what does happen behind the scenes that you cannot take away at all, you cannot have technology do this, is negotiations. So when someone places an offer on your home and you have a listing agent, we vet out on the back end all of these things. We call the lender, we call the actual agent that's representing that buyer, and we say, hey, has this person been through underwriting? Is this person really pre-qualified? You can't have technology do that. You have to have somebody negotiating on your behalf as a seller.
It blows me away when I see the advertisements that I see on TV, and I see the billboards and real estate agents dressing up like Tom Cruise and putting themselves on a billboard, and these other billboard advertisements where they're saying, you can do this discount, and then we're going to give you the best real estate agents. And that's just contradictory, because those companies that are doing the billboard, they're referring you to an agent that's going to give you this advertised discount fee. Well, that agent's not making any money. He's got to pay the guy from the billboard. He's got to pay. And then guess who suffers? The consumer, because the agent's not going to spend the money on marketing, because that is the way that it is. When the more money that comes out of the well, the less they have to spend on your marketing. And marketing, like we said in the first segment, is the driving force in getting homes sold in this market. There's no more low-hanging fruit. You've got to really market the properties to get them to sell. And at LPT, it's why we are growing at an unprecedented pace, why so many agents are joining, because they realize that you need the help of these types of companies. I mean, I was with Realogy, Better Homes and Gardens for years. I never got the type of support that we're getting here with LPT. The marketing that they charge the agents money. Here at LPT, we're getting marketing from the company, and it is just a revolutionary game changer for real estate agents. And if you really want to get some information on LPT and what we offer, go to lpt.com. And there's a website there that's just it's not tied. I'm not giving you my website.
For sure.
I'm just sending you to the company website, lpt.com, lptrealty.com.
But I also think they need to like personally like contact you and actually go through that process, because if you are a seller out there and you're thinking about selling, that face-to-face, hands-on is outside of the technology.
Well, Betsy, most average consumer today doesn't want to speak to anybody. But what they should be doing is interviewing 3 real estate agents, 3 reputable real estate agents, and comparing the marketing plan that each agent's going to do. And I never care about having being interviewed. I don't care if they interview 10. They're not going to have the tools that I have to get the top dollar unless they're LPT.
You know that I was up against, he interviewed 25 agents, and we got the listing, and it's me and another agent co-listing it, and I came in with my box and my marketing plan, and you know, it was funny, I encouraged him and I said, hey, call me when you're done interviewing people, because I encouraged him to speak to other people. So for all you sellers out there, we really want you to understand that not only do we have, you know, the best technology, but we also are trained and we are great negotiators. We are here for you to support you and walk you through the process. The segment 3 is going to be something that you definitely don't want to miss, because we also understand that sometimes selling your home, and whether you're relocating or downgrading or, you know, upsizing or downsizing, Vince, upsizing. I wonder if that's a word, but it is today. So that's something that we want to go through that process with you. And technology can't also feel the emotion behind it. You know, sales has emotion behind it. If anyone's thinking of selling their home, Vince, or wants to be with the #1 platform of real estate, LPT Realty, how do they get in touch with you?
Should I sing the song?
Yes,
813 Vincent. It's call 813 Vincent. That's 813-846-2368. I'm not going to sing the song, but I'm not going to sing my jingle on the radio, although I should, but I'm not going to. But
segment 3, Vince is going to sing his jingle. Download that iHeartRadio app. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're touching on all things selling your home today, everything about listing your property. Segment 3, we're going to walk you front to back of literally phase 1. We've given you step-by-step tips so far, and we brushed over them, but don't forget to tune in to segment 3 as we dive deep into this process. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
The biggest win, I think, with the dual path and having these 2 models is that now we become a brokerage for everyone. No matter where you are in your real estate career or what your goals are today, maybe today you're not interested in recruiting or having a team, but then one day you wake up and you are. Well, if you're at the wrong brokerage to do that, you're locked in. Where in our model, we're not holding anyone hostage. We're not tying anyone in. You can move between the different comp plans and have that success and really achieve whatever your definition of success is under one brokerage platform, being LPT.
Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host, Betsy Tinervin, and we are talking with the #1 1991 REA agent, Vincent Arcuri.
Here I am. I like to refer to it as the Betsy Tinervin Show. Thank you for having me on the Betsy Tinervin Show.
We are here today as 2 LPT agents. Vince has decades of experience in the actual Tampa Bay area. He has been selling and working with sellers and working with buyers for a long time. Back when he actually had hair. Now he chooses to shave his head bald and dress in a Larry the Bird suit. So we're going to talk about 2 things in segment 3. One, for all the listeners out there, whether you have purchased multiple properties or you're looking to purchase your first property, this is going to be great for you, because we're going to walk through step by step how we find value in a property. And even with the crazy market, it really stays consistent in that process, Vince. So when I come to you as a seller and I say, Vince, I live at 123 Jillian Street in Tampa, Florida. I'm thinking about selling my house. You come out, you meet with me. We've talked about marketing. We've talked about technology. You show me all this greatness. What do you do as an agent on the back end?
Well, first of all, I think here's the biggest mistake consumers make is they call somebody up and say, I'm thinking about selling my home. Agent comes out with a market analysis, with paperwork to list the home. this tells me that the agent did absolutely no homework on the home, because it requires, for me, I have to come out and look at the home.
Absolutely.
I want to assess the home myself. I want to take notes. How old is your roof? How old is your AC unit? What's the condition of the home? Is it dated? Has it been renovated? What does the landscaping look like? Does it need to be painted? I want to verify all the information in the tax rolls to make sure that the home is the proper square footage, because those are the factors that I'm going to put in when I'm comparing this house to another home down the street. And if the house down the street sold for $1 million, for example, and the house that I'm looking at is the exact same floor plan, but maybe the house that I'm looking at has a new roof, has been completely remodeled and updated, and it's in far superior condition than the house that just sold down the street 5 houses down, which is very common with these builders building out these communities. You have to make adjustments to the price.
Well, before you go into in-depth about like necessarily a CMA, I just want to talk about understanding the concept of price per square foot. I have agents that I've come in contact with. I've had sellers that have come in contact with. Price per square foot is a big deal in real estate, and people always think bigger is more. It's actually the opposite.
Yes.
Smaller homes have a higher price per square footage than larger homes. And that's just the way it is. So when you're looking at price per square foot, you have to look at the things that you mentioned. So if I walk into your home as an agent and I have something already done for you and your Google pictures are 10 years old, there's no way that I properly analyzed your piece of property. So like Vince was saying, if you are going out or you're getting phone calls, I want to give you a cash offer. I want to buy your house right now. Let me just throw a number at you. They haven't even seen what the situation is. So that off the rip is probably just totally beep. We'll just do a beep.
And then they come out and they want to do a adjustment after they come out and
Oh,
see
absolutely.
your home. Oh, wait a minute. That's too much.
Or they want to list it for 50 grand over what they know it's going to sell just so they can get your listing, which comes into a whole nother situation of now I've overpromised and underdelivered, which is a disaster.
Let's see, there's one thing that consumers need to understand also. Because I've had these conversations with consumers and they go, how would it benefit the agent to overprice my home? What benefit is that to them? Well, let me tell you what it is. First of all, I don't want to go through the negatives on what it is for the seller, but the positives for the listing agent that doesn't know what they're doing, that overprices your home, is that a sign sits in your front yard for months on end, and the buyers, still the number one source of buyer calls is the signs. They're going to call off that sign, and they're going to go and they're going to say, hey, yeah, this house is overpriced, but let me show you these 3 other houses in the other neighborhood that are priced correctly. So while
buyers also are going to think there's something wrong with it.
Right.
The longer your house sits on the market, buyers assume, because not all buyers have a vision, they don't assume that, it might just be overpriced. They assume something's wrong. But I want to tell all the listeners out there right now, Vince, right now, because this is the raw and the real of real estate. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
If anybody calls Vincent Arcuri to list their home, I will ensure you that he shows up in a Larry the Bird suit. A Larry the Bird suit for the listing appointment. So right now off this show,
there's going to be a lot of disappointed people if they're expecting
there's
that.
not, because I don't overpromise and underdeliver.
I will be in a suit, but not a Larry the Bird suit.
No. Vince Arcuri will show up, and maybe not to the listing appointment, but we will do a broker's open the first weekend your house is on the market, and I will make sure that I personally rent a blue Larry the Bird suit for Vincent Arcuri.
Lord have mercy.
So anybody that calls 813-VINCENT, you're going to get a free home warranty for your buyer and a Larry the Bird suit off of today's show.
All right, we'll make that happen if some miracle somebody asks for that.
So I think that to backtrack a little bit, I think
that'll
it's great.
sell the house, and that's going to give you a big selling advantage.
I mean,
that Larry
Vince,
the
we
Bird
may
suit.
start a trend. We're trendsetters.
Could be.
We may have a flood of, you may have to sign autographs in that suit.
We may have to get our own Larry the Bird suit and start bringing it to Tampa and bringing it out of Orlando and bring it to Tampa.
Yes, I know. So,
but getting back to what we were saying about the agents, I remember back when I was a new agent, the office
in 1950.
And this was in the 1990s and mid 90s. I remember the office dinosaur was bragging about how many calls he got off of this particular sign on this overpriced house that he had, how much money he had made. And we just don't do business like that. I mean, you hire you to sell the home, and I want to get them out of there on their timeline when they want. And by the way, these ads that you see where people say you pick the closing date. Well, as the seller, you're going to pick the closing date anyway. You're going to be able to pick the closing date because it's part of what's negotiated in the contract. So I would rather get an extra $101,000 for my house, like we talked about in the other segment, and pick the closing date rather than give the money to Wall Street.
100%. And I think that it becomes an experience that obviously we start back to step one, doing this, just showing how you compare with other properties in the market. And what does get crazy, and for all sellers out there to know too, like as sellers and owners of real estate, we set the stage for the market. So here's something else I want to talk a little bit about with all the listeners out there is that if you are taking a huge reduced price for your home, you totally throw off the equilibrium for your neighborhood. So back to just finding value, how we do that. In reality, it's so important that you have somebody that knows the neighborhood, knows the area in depth, and understands like what's happened. Because when the market does shift and we go from this pendulum of being a super seller's market into, a little bit of a swing, I don't think Florida is going to have as much as other places because, again, we're that apex market where rents are rising and the prices of homes are rising. And that happened prior to a seller's market, but we are going to see a little shift. It's so important for you to continue to set a good trend in your neighborhood for home value. So when Vince comes out or I come out or one of these LPT agents comes out to do an analysis and really evaluate your property, we're not just going to look in the past 6 months. We're going to look a year back, and then maybe an appraiser is not going to use any value from a year and a half ago, but we want to look at that as well as when you go to pick a house to buy, because we don't want to evaluate what the home is worth right now because we knew we were in a seller's market. So if you're a good agent, you're going to go all the way back and you're going to look at that pattern, you're going to look at that trends, and you're going to hit that bullseye kind of down the middle.
Right. And Betsy, I want to say, while I got a second here, while we've got some time left in this segment, if somebody wanted to, because I know people listen to you every week and you are throwing people like Vince is great or whoever's on the show is great. Well, Betsy Tinervin, I just want to give you a little bit of props here.
Thank you.
One of the smartest real estate agents that I know, an advisor of mine on many times where I'm a little over my head, 31 years in the business and, over 3,000 sales. And I go to you for advice, especially on investing and investment properties and multi units, and that's your wheelhouse. You teach that to agents just from your heart. You give back to the real estate agents. And we talk about real estate agents not being educated. You're doing something about it because you offer classes for these agents so that they can improve their game. And I want you to tell the people out there, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, or if you're a real estate agent that needs training, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can call me at 813-609-0229. And I do appreciate all the positivity coming from Vince. It means a lot to me that, I have Ellie and Vince in my upline. They are two super seasoned agents. And yes, we're doing a lot of cool things. We'll touch on that a little bit in the next segment too, just for the agents out there wanting to know more about LPT. But I do think it's important to educate yourself. I've been very lucky that I grew up in a real estate household where both of my parents were agents and my dad has been a broker 40 years and done tons of developments and kind of built out his company. So I kind of had a little bit of advantage, but what I did to become the position that I am and be able to teach and train is I went to every training, got every certification. So we'll dive deep in the next segment on agents and just how they need to sell properties and list the right way using the LPT agent tools. Don't forget to download that iHeartRadio app. Everyone's got to return for our next segment. We are so blessed to have Vince here, and we will see you after the break. Welcome back to the LPT All-Star Radio Show. I am your host, the one and only Betsy Tinervin with the Tampa Bay Investments team. And today, everyone has got to be and feel super blessed that I have my partner in crime, Vincent Arcuri, here. He was hosting the radio show before me, and so we are so excited to have him back. Super educated, talking all things listings today, selling your home, why you should have an agent, and not the typical why you should have an agent. Everybody knows out there The Raw and the Real of Real Estate is on the LPT All-Star Radio Show, and realtors don't sell real estate. I'm going to say that one more time. Realtors don't sell real estate. The market and price drives that. What realtors do is we are there to negotiate. We are there to present your property well. We are there to get you top dollar.
To expose it to more potential buyers.
Well, absolutely. But the one thing that we didn't touch on, I do want to circle back to really quick that Vince is really good at, is that net sheet. So just really quick, if there's anyone out there that's been listening there, it's like, we love Vince, we love Betsy, LPT's great, but I am just a FSBO type of person, right? Like, I just want to list for sale by owner. When you have done those net sheet, Vince, how many times have you shocked a seller when they really do the math of hiring an agent, taking the weight off their shoulder, having it done professionally, getting top dollar, how they make more money using an agent?
Well, really, if you're selling by owner, you're just really one man on an island. When you're selling with a reputable real estate agent that knows how to market your property, you're literally exposing your property to millions of people around the world. And real estate really has become a global business. People come in, they buy properties in Florida sight unseen, as you know, off of videos that we send them, and they're cash buyers.
Well, they also have someone representing them. See, all sellers have to remember, like, if you don't have an agent as a seller, that buyer 99% of the time is going to have an agent representing them. So just like you said, now you're not only on an island by yourself and your property isn't getting pushed out on marketing platforms appropriately, but now you have no representation.
Yeah, you got to know, how many houses do you really sell as a buy owner? Because you're going to likely be going up against an agent that's pretty experienced, that's done this a few times. They're going to eat you up. But getting back to your net sheet question, I think most people really, they look at the pennies, and they're not looking at the dollars that they'll net by going with a real estate agent, because they just say, oh, I'm saving the commission. The reality of it is they get a lot more money statistically. Over 3 decades of research shows that the people will net more money. I love to show the net sheet. It's not a requirement for a real estate agent to really show the numbers when they're listing a property or when they sell a property. But really they should. As a consumer, you should ask them to show you a sheet that they sign that says, this is what my closing costs are going to be, and this is what my net number is going to be when I sign the paperwork at closing. Because let me tell you, the last place you want to be is at a closing table the day of closing to find out that you're $8,000 or $9,000 short of what your expectation was because your agent didn't disclose to you what all the closing costs were.
Or if you're by yourself and you're doing it for sale by owner and you didn't talk to the proper resources and people, because most for sale by owners don't have a relationship with the title company.
Betsy, they don't realize that they got to pay doc stamp. It doesn't matter if you've got a real estate agent or not. You're paying doc stamps. You're paying title insurance. The bulk of those closing costs, you're paying anyway with or without a real estate agent. A huge chunk.
Absolutely. So just like we talked about, to summarize kind of what we do.
It all goes to training.
Absolutely. What we do as listing agents, we go through this whole process, properly coming out to evaluate your property, properly connecting you with getting that net sheet. We help you produce it. And then we work with the amazing title companies that we work with here to ensure that that's going to be proper, done right, escrows held appropriately, all the above. Then we know how to structure your contract to favor you as a seller. And then after that, we market your property appropriately. And LPT is the only brokerage that provides listing power tools, customized websites, all of those things included. Then we have the personalities and we have the negotiation skills. Why, Vince?
Well, we have to get the most money that we can for our sellers and to make the transition as smooth as possible. But, I'm thinking as you're talking, some people start out as brand new real estate agents, and that's what I love about LPT is we don't throw these agents to the wolves and say, go do a presentation. We are with them hand-holding, making sure that all of their deals go smooth their first year. Sometimes it takes 2 years to get them properly trained and to be able to mentor them and to back them up when they have a problem, even if it's 5 years down the road. So it's one thing for LPT to have the tools and resources available, but it's really the human element. And I talked about it in the previous segment about the trainings that you offer. I know every Wednesday night you do a training, and I was at your graduation ceremony the other night. We had 6 or 7 people that graduated, and 50 people started the class. And, you had a handful of people that actually graduated to your standards, and the other people are having to come back again and go through the class again until they get it and learn it. Because really, it's the LPT name badge. We want the consumers to have the cleanest, smoothest transition possible, because it's our name that's on the line, not just the agents and the consumers. We don't want the consumers to have a disappointing experience, to be told one thing and for it to be something else at closing, which was one of the most common things. But your trainings that we offer the agents, if an agent were to join, or even if you're an agent that's got some experience and you really don't feel confident enough that you're at the top of your game, you don't have to be an LPT agent to go to your trainings. And I just highly recommend anybody that's a real estate agent that's listening to the show, contact you about your training and to go to those classes, because there's plenty of agents in there. There's lots of stuff to learn. And what would be the phone number that they would call? The phone number they would call
is 813-609-0229. And what we do, I think, which is awesome, is...
Did you just say doo-doo on the radio?
I said 0229.
Okay.
What we do for all of our agents is that we make sure that they understand actually how to do it right. So anybody who's gone to college, graduated high school, everything that they teach you in the book is not really how it applies in real life.
Right.
So what we try to do with agents is we make a, 30-day kind of build your business, not just be a realtor success plan. And then we offer advanced things throughout that, because as real estate has changed, like Vince talked about, having that book that was how things were presented in the MLS, like even someone like Vince that's been in the industry, 30 plus years, he's had to change the way he's done business to do what he just said, provide the consumer with a great experience using the technology and marketing tools, but then still having the hands-on items in play that provides the good experience for the consumer. So at the end of the day, what we do and how we teach is, Vince brings people with him to listing appointments. We have agents that have assignments and do open houses for other agents. We give them the hands tangible tasks, going out, doing a Facebook Live at a property, all of those things you cannot teach in an online class. So there are some brokerages out there that everything's virtual and everything's recorded. And the coolest thing about LPT is the in-house trainings are live. So they are on a computer, can cater to your times and needs, but then we do what Vince was talking about, which is hands-on in-house trainings in person.
I still think that is the best way to learn, is one-on-one in person with you. You're not picking up your cell phone, you're paying attention to the instructor, you're doing the homework, you're learning, you're able to better serve your customers. I'm always leery of people that just try to wing it all the time. You've got to be able to go and learn from people. I mean, somebody taught me, somebody taught you. You have to be able to pass on this information, because I see the industry weaker and weaker. I don't see the top-notch service to consumers that I saw before. I see a bunch of Wall Street companies out there trying to snow job the general consumer into selling their house to them or going through them, and the consumer's getting robbed. And
as a consumer, you should ask your agent who their broker even is. If they're a part of a brokerage where there's 80,000 agents, they don't even know their broker's name. They don't know their team lead's name. They don't know who's in charge. You know what they know? They're one of 80,000.
Yeah, this really has become a nickel and dime business where these inside of real estate, all these insiders are trying to make money on every single aspect from real estate agents, from consumers. And you really have to be careful out there who you're doing business with.
Well, we are excited that you guys were with us today. Vince is truly an unbelievable agent. He's an unbelievable leader. He is there to guide all agents in real estate. He is there to also really go in depth with LPT, as he was one of the original people with listing power tools. So Vince, if someone wants to get a hold of you, if they do want to sell their home, and everyone out there, remember, Larry the K Bird suit. If you want your home sold and you want a broker's open with Vincent Arcuri in your yard in a Larry the K Bird suit, I can make that happen, friends.
I was hoping she would forget about that. You could call me at 813-VINCENT, 813-846-2368. You could check out homes at tampapad.com to check out all the tampabaypad.com to get your home value. And if you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent, I can get you 50% off on the real estate school, 813-909-0999.
Perfect. We were so happy that all of you guys are with us today. We love having you listen to us every weekend. We appreciate all the support. LPT All-Star Radio Show, the raw and the real of real estate, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast, powered by LPT Realty, Real Estate Reimagined. We hope this episode motivated and inspired you. And don't forget to rate and review us. Thanks again for listening to the Raw and Real of Real Estate podcast with Betsy Tinervin.